we keep talking about it, everybody on your team except for LeBron James. And I'm just curious, have you seen him much at the facility, and what does he look like, and what are you hearing about his whole approach and attitude about this season?
I'm about to give you a huge update on not only LeBron James, but Anthony Davis and the Los Angeles Lakers. And I believe this update that I'm about to give you is going to go a very long way in explaining how LeBron has been able to consistently be this productive for this long, and how this may mitigate Anthony Davis's injury issues and compare it to other big men in the past that may have had similar issues as Anthony Davis did. Now, real quick, I want to announce that I'm giving away copies of NBA 2K22. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and turn on our notifications on this channel, and let me know in the comment section down below what console you'd want it on, or if you'd rather have VC for the game instead. If you could take a moment to like this video, check us out on Instagram and TikTok, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Quite possibly one of my favorite videos to make on this channel is updates on a player's physique. As a man that is very into fitness myself, it's really fun to kind of blend my worlds. And honestly, I don't really post fitness content on this channel, but I do on my Instagram, but I digress. You see, in 2014, LeBron James made a game-changing decision, and one that at the time I couldn't really believe he made. Because back in 2010, when LeBron announced that he's going to take his talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat, most of us thought that he was going to stay there until retirement. I mean, he had a pretty sweet situation with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He was the most competitive he's ever been in his entire career. And on top of that, why would he want to leave beautiful Miami to go anywhere else? Why would he consistently end up hopping from team to team when he's already grounded in Miami? But in 2014, he made one decision that shook all of us. But on top of that, there was a picture that came out that went absolutely viral. LeBron James posted an article explaining that he's going to come home to the Cleveland Cavaliers, as opposed to doing it on national television at the Boys and Girls Club. But even furthermore, something that shocked all of us was this viral picture that went online with LeBron James losing a ton of weight. I mean, if you look at LeBron James's physique during the Miami Heat era, it's no wonder why this physique has caused NBA fans and some analysts alike to create conspiracy theories about whether or not there were any substances he was taking on the side to help him achieve this remarkable physique. And this has no disrespect to LeBron, it just goes to show how remarkable this man's physique is. But he went from being this huge behemoth of an individual during his prime in Miami to slimming down significantly in 2014. And a lot of us sat there and really wondered why. I mean, could losing muscle really be what you need if you want to be successful in the NBA? Well, yes and no. You see, obviously he won't be as physically imposing as he was when he was at his Miami Heat weight, but fortunately when you're LeBron James, you don't need to be as physically imposing as he was in Miami. The real reason why he lost all of that weight, well, let me draw another comparison for you here. Let's look at DeMarcus Cousins, for instance. This is what he looked like when he was with the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans. And what ended up happening to him is, since he had so much weight on his knees and he was so agile as a big man and a center, he ended up not only tearing his Achilles when he was with the New Orleans Pelicans, but he tore his ACL before he even had an opportunity to play for the Los Angeles Lakers a year and a half later. By the time he was able to finally make it onto the basketball court, and by the time he finally lost all the weight that he needed to lose, it was already too late. He tore his ACL, he tore his Achilles, he was not as agile as he once was, and although he is still productive as a role player to some capacity, he no longer is the all-star that is commanding of a maximum contract, in my opinion. So why am I giving you all of this information? Because one, Anthony Davis is in a very similar situation here. I mean, as Laker fans, since watching Anthony Davis come to the Lakers, it's almost like a perennial ritual where this man looks like he almost tore every single ligament in his leg, usually sits down for a bit, grabs his knees and excruciating pain and then walks off like nothing happened. And there are instances where something actually does happen, like when Anthony Davis injured his groin, and quite possibly the most important point for the Los Angeles Lakers last year. And to be honest, it's no wonder when you're 6 feet and 10 inches tall, at least that's what AD is listed as, and weigh 253 pounds, and you play in a basketball league that is consistently making you put pressure on your knees and running back and forth on a basketball court. It's only a matter of time until the inevitable happens, which is why I think Anthony Davis being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers may have potentially saved his career from something absolutely horrible happening to him. You see, I think this past year for AD in particular was a huge wake-up call. I mean, this man sustained 2 major injuries with the Los Angeles Lakers over the past year, and now that he's in a situation where he's consistently in a place where he could compete for a NBA championship with LeBron James, and of course, when you're being partnered with quite possibly one of the most intelligent individuals in terms of self-care and in terms of taking care of their body, well, I think Anthony Davis is poised for a big year, and I think hearing that LeBron James has lost even more weight should excite Laker fans. Now, who am I to give a status update on LeBron James? We need to get a more credible source than just some schmo on YouTube named TheFlightMike. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Rob Pelinka so he could give you a full update and you could hear it from his mouth in terms of how LeBron James's body has been and how Anthony Davis looks. And we have a crazy image to show you of Anthony Davis and some training camp footage of LeBron James to confirm this. But before we get to that, we have to get to a word from our sponsor, Harry's. Are you tired of spending $50 a month on getting brand new shaving cartridges? Well, my friends at Harry's got you covered. Harry's crafts long-lasting, high-quality razor blades for a very, very cheap price. This $13 value can be had for a measly $3, literally a price of gum, and includes a 5-blade razor and aloe shave gel. And of course, this handy little weighted handle. And guess how much it costs to get a brand new shaving cartridge? $2, not $50, but $2. So if you want to spend significantly less money on shaving every single month without having to sacrifice the quality of your shave, go to harrys.com/FlightMike. That's harrys.com/FlightMike to get their starter set for $3. Honestly, anything that's potentially this life-changing is definitely worth $3, guys. So shout out to Harry's for the sponsor and make sure you check them out.
You know, we keep talking about everybody on your team except for LeBron James. And I'm just curious, have you seen him much at the facility, and what does he look like, and what are you hearing about his whole approach and attitude about this season?
I have. LeBron's been in working hard, working really early in the morning, and I think the thing that stands out is just his fitness level, and he slimmed up. I think, we all know LeBron studies the greats, and he adds things into his game, and I think going into this stage of his career, he's made a decision to come back a little bit leaner, and I think that's going to translate in his explosiveness and quickness. But he's been very, very locked in with his training, and you just get a sense he has a confidence in his teammates. He really does. I think when he looks around the locker room and sees the nameplates or with the guys he's been on the court with, you can just tell he has a high level of confidence in his teammates and what this team could accomplish this season if we all lock in. I think the big word is mindset. You know, what will the mindset of all these players be? We have 13 guys signed to contracts, and it just feels like this group realizes that everyone's going to have to set a little bit of a personal thing or a selfish desire aside to come together and have the mindset of how do I make the guy next to me in the locker room great. And it just feels like that's LeBron's mindset right now with his teammates, and that he has a belief.
Now, if you look at LeBron James here, you get multiple angles of the guy, and it's clear as day that this man dropped a lot of weight, which is very crucial to this man's ability to prolong his career as much as possible, especially if he wants to take on the challenge of being productive into his 40s. And look, I've said this many times. I've gone on record to say this on my Laced Up podcast featuring Mike Korzemba and Get Like Coop, which, by the way, we're almost at 40,000 subscribers on that podcast channel. The moment we get there, we're giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on that channel. I think we're like 4,000 subs away. Now, what I said there is I am not a LeBron James fan. Not that I don't appreciate LeBron James, but I don't stan LeBron James. I'm mainly a fan of his because he's on the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm a Laker fan at first before everything else. And that's not to disrespect the man, because I love the man for bringing us a championship. I love what he stands for, but the only player that I've ever really stanned in my entire career as an NBA fan is Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace. And the reason I'm saying this is what I'm about to come out and say may sound very Stanish, but LeBron's goals are very clear as day. You see, this man really wants to prolong his career as much as possible, play into his 40s possibly, and if you look at other great players, well, actually only one other great player in another professional sport, Tom Brady, the way you do that primarily is to make sure you're as light as possible, there's as little damage to your knees as possible, and in Tom Brady's situation, you get hit as little as possible. And in Tom Brady's situation, there was this one rule that they recently changed in the NFL. They made the roughing the passer rule way more strict, so quarterbacks don't get hit as often. As a result, games are a little bit more high scoring, quarterbacks have longer careers, and a quarterback that would typically retire at the age of 37 or 38 now could potentially go into his 40s even. And in Tom Brady's case, he's 44 years old. Now, LeBron James, in my opinion, being LeBron James is a little bit more physically imposing, in my opinion, than being Tom Brady. And that's because there's 82 basketball games in a year. It's 3 hours. You play offense and defense. You have to sprint up and down the floor. You have to put a lot of pressure on your knees. And unless if you're a running back in football or if you're getting hit a lot in football, I think basketball is way more physically imposing than being a quarterback in the NFL, unless if your offensive line sucks in the NFL. So LeBron James's ability to prolong his career is 100% going to be dependent upon his ability to get his weight as low as possible. And in Anthony Davis's case, the man is also doing a good job because we got a picture of Anthony Davis recently. Before I show you this picture, listen to what Frank Vogel said about Anthony Davis. Unfortunately, I don't have the legitimate interview like with video and audio and everything, but it appeared on the Lake Show podcast, and Frank Vogel said this about Anthony Davis. He put a lot of work this offseason into his body, a lot of work. And we had a moment maybe 2 weeks ago where he had been training at home and we had a conversation about, these are some of the concerns we have with our team. We think we're good here, we think we're good there. And then he comes in for a workout and it was the first time we had kind of seen him for a while. And his body looks imposing. And we all just looked at each other like, we're going to be really good this year. Just looking at that guy right there, we're going to be really good this year. So Anthony Davis doesn't typically post a lot on social media. He's a very quiet guy. But if you want to get a look at what this man's looking like currently, take a look at this picture. This is the best picture we have of him. So this is him in San Diego. Apparently he's been in the gym a lot this offseason, and he does look a little physically imposing if you ask me. Now, I don't know where he stands weight-wise, but he looks like he's in remarkable shape. And honestly, I said this when the Lakers got knocked out early last year. Last year was just an absolute mess of a season. Not to take anything away from the ones that have achieved success last year, but when you literally only had 3 months between the NBA finals, well, actually less than 3 months, and you didn't really have a lot of time to rest, you had a lot of games sandwiched together during the regular season, a lot of injuries. I felt like the fact that the Lakers were eliminated from the playoffs a little early was a blessing in disguise. And honestly, it looks like that with this picture of Anthony Davis. He looks leaner, he looks a little bit more muscular, maybe it's the shirt he's wearing, but the one thing that we all have to agree upon is this man looks absolutely fantastic. Now, we're gonna have a lot more footage for you guys coming soon because training camp is set to kick off within the next couple of days, so make sure you're subscribed and have my notifications on so you can enter for a chance to win NBA 2K22 or some VC. But in addition to that, so you can stay up to date with all the latest NBA news. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.